Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have a really exciting interview ahead of us about feminine wisdom and economic empowerment. Today, you'll be meeting Isabel Alexander, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who's using her 55 plus years of business experience to navigate the opportunities and the challenges of keeping up with new tech, new platforms, and new vocabularies. I'm sure you can relate to that. So welcome to the show, Isabel. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Suzy, I'm delighted to be here. I just feel so blessed to be part of this venture with you and to share our feminine wisdom with all the other fempreneurs out there.
Ooh, I love that. We're going to have a lot of fun. I know it. So we're going to talk about your midlife entrepreneur story. And with that much experience, I know there's a great one there. We're also going to be talking about your business, what's going really well, and also what midlife issues or challenges might be getting in your way to some degree, a little or a lot, and might be challenging for you in your life as well as being a business owner. And of course, you don't even live that far away from me. So you're in Canada, which is also a delight when I have another Canadian on the line. So good. Oh, that's old school. Look what I just said. On the line. I guess nobody said, I know my kids don't say that anyway. Okay, so let's get started with a nice, big, fun question. How old are you? How long have you been an entrepreneur? A little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, and of course, what it is that you do in the world. So take it away.
I am very pleased to say that I'm almost 69 years young. And the fact that at this current state of my physical and mental well-being, I expect that I'm about in the middle of my life on this planet. Entrepreneurial journey started childhood. Parents were fairly entrepreneurial, although I was raised on a farm in Western Quebec. For those Canadians, that are enjoying this program, but learn very early on by the diversity of actions required to run a farm, to run a farm equipment dealership, other enterprises that were going on, that I was absorbing naturally a lot of skill sets that even as a teen, I was, complaining about having to work all the time. But my gosh, how fortunate that was that later in life, that experience really came to help me very quickly. Then at the age of 16, I didn't run away from home, but I walked very damn fast. And I became self-supporting and the breadwinner for a family of two. And because I had that maturity and the skills that I had learned younger, I was able to find employment and rise up the ranks and was very quickly managing entrepreneurs, businesses for them because I had the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion of learning, but I also had some background behind me.
That background from the farm, that's so interesting.
Well, I really like to have people think back and recognize that was all foundational. And I was asked recently to give some advice to young people graduating, what I would say to them. And I always say, never underestimate a second of any opportunity, whether it's volunteer or paid, to absorb the business skills that you're learning. Whether you're flipping burgers or pouring coffee, it's the opportunity, cash management, team management, time management, etc. Those are all business skills, marketing, public behavior, how presentation. And I'm grateful for the fact that I had many opportunities as a young person to learn from people that were at a higher level or skilled, more mature and seasoned than I was.
So good. And then you started a company. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, I had the misfortune, I thought at the time, of my employer going bankrupt, and my children still wanted new shoes and wanted to eat regularly. So I scrambled to find a replacement for that income and thought it would be by becoming the world's best Mary Kay consultant. In the meantime, while I was, racking up the mascara sales, some of my clients from the now bankrupt company approached me and said, "Hey, you used to do this for us, but now there isn't anybody to do it. Could you please help us?" And I, not so wisely at the time thought, "Oh yeah, for now, I'll do this for now until I sell more lipstick and mascara." And that was the beginning of an unplanned entrepreneurial journey, having my own company, which went from seriously $0 in sales on the dining room table to later 14 million a year in sales on international boardroom tables. And
it's just a little bit of success.
It was just following that journey of learning about the business, learning about what to do, not to do, learning about my own capabilities, learning how to become a CEO, not only of a company, but of my own personal life and mindset.
Well, you've had a lot of success. Like, just to name a few of the acknowledgments and awards you've received over the years. In the 2000s, you received Canada's Top 100 Women Entrepreneurs. In 2007 and 2009, Canada's Top 100 Most Powerful Women's Executive Network. In 2009, recipient of Women of International Influence. And you've been doing some pretty big, impactful things for quite some time now. So I love the way you're talking about even flipping burgers and being exposed to whatever business you have exposure to when you're young is relevant experience. I'm reflecting back to my first job, which was selling cheese and sausage in a little store, which was kind of like, I forget what they have now, but it's like in a mall where they sell sausage, So it was a store like that. I don't think they have them anymore, but I had to wear a little Swiss outfit, stand in the mall with a tray of cheese and say, "Hi, would you like to try a sample?" And it was such a huge memory for me of figuring out how to become good at customer service and to really pay attention to what customers were asking. And then from there, I sold knives. And then I learned a heck of a lot about kitchen knives and Swiss Army knives. And I loved it. But again, it wasn't just about the knives. It was about retail and customer service and so on. So it's super interesting to acknowledge early exposure to business.
Yeah, I am, because I left home as a high school graduate and quickly became a mother and a breadwinner. I didn't continue with any formal education. And that always felt a little uncomfortable for me. I was a little ashamed of that. And I kind of did things to camouflage it, including hiring PhDs to work for me, the high school graduate, which was always bizarre. But several years into my business growth, I met a mentor. He's a billionaire, a Canadian billionaire, and he took me under his wing, and we got talking about this thing that I felt held me back, was that I didn't have a degree. And he said, "Are you kidding me? You're the same degree I have." And this man was a billionaire. And I said, "Well, what's your degree?" And he said, "QBE." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Qualified by experience. It's the best degree that there is in the world." And from that moment, again, speaking, to you, a great coach, that mindset shift of going from feeling inferior and ashamed of not having a college degree or university degree to going, "Wait a second, let's take stock here. I am QBE." And I would.
So good.
Yeah. Isn't that great? So that's it. It's like your experience, the resilience, the customer service. I mean, I can only imagine how many rejections you must have got with that. "Do you want a sample of cheese?"
Yeah, not everybody wants cheese from
I know.
a mall hallway.
You're right. And but if you know that those become part of our lifetime vault of tacit knowledge and strength, it changes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Well, then what happened for you to get going on your current business in 2015 called the ENCORE Catalyst? How'd that all happen?
I reached a stage that I believe many of your listeners have or will after, a fast-paced, breakneck, growing, running to keep up with the growth of the company and my personal growth, and at times feeling like it was outpacing me. I reached a point where I said, I'm burned out. I'm done. I'm really don't think I want to do this anymore. And basically, I fell out of love with my business. As bizarre as that might sound, that I got to hop on jets and travel around the world and get awards and speak on stages and hang out with really cool people in the government and etc. I just thought, I've lost my love, my passion for this. So I sold the company and I made a mess out of retirement because I was very at a loss of what to do in this leisure time. And basically I was waking up every morning saying, who am I now? And I had lost connection with my identity because before, for 20, 25 years, I had a business card who told me who I was.
Yeah.
And how I should show up every day in the world, that told me what my value was, told me what my purpose was. And now I was faced with, oh my God, I don't want to play golf all day. I don't want to clean my closets one more effing time. And I don't even know how to introduce myself in a new social situation when they say, and what do you do, Isabel? Nothing. I realized that I missed being in the thick of things in creating and building and growing industry. So I spent about 10 years coaching, and I still do, working, mentoring other women entrepreneurs because, well, at least, I thought I could save them some time, some money, some anguish by sharing with them what I'd learned to do and what I'd especially learned not to do. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. All the while I was working through this process with myself about who am I and really what do I want next in my life? And I couldn't find any in the box solution to figuring that out in my mid 50s, feeling at loose ends, ashamed to admit I was failing at my beautiful life of leisure. And after a lot of research and spending money going to programs and reading every damn book on reinvention, I created my own program. And because for women, I think there's just so many additional unique factors, our physical evolution, our relationship evolution, the giving ourselves permission to aspire to want something more and not justify it to anybody. So I was the test subject for the ENCORE methodology, and I perfected that on myself and then any of my clients and friends that would allow me to experiment on them until I had this beautiful process to help people decide what is the next and best role of their life, to write the script for that, and then to produce that starring role.
Amazing. I love, with coaching, we're usually our first subject. And if we figure it out well, because so many of us are just born to help, born to serve. But the idea, it's very rewarding for us to figure out something and to lift other women and to help them help themselves. It's so, so rewarding. And one of the things I've learned being on this side of 50 is how important it is to be a mentor. It's so fulfilling in that role. And part of coaching is teaching sometimes, right? And part of teaching can also be mentorship. So the way it's not all cut and dry when it comes to being a mentor, but certainly you're giving back and you're helping women find what they're looking for, which is amazing. Now, you know that one of the things that I love to talk about on this podcast is the way that midlife stuff can get in the way of how you are running your business. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about some of the challenges, the classic midlife challenges that can get in the way for you.
The very first thing that comes to my mind is getting over this hang up of, well, I don't know how to do, I've never been this me before, which initially sounds rather frightening. It's like, okay, I don't know how to be me because I've never done that. And I don't, easily find role models because my generation, yours, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts were entirely different women in an entirely different society. And now here we are definitely knocking down some walls, busting through ceilings, blazing trails. And sometimes it's like, I don't know, like what's the next step? And I've just got to trust my instinct, my gut, and step forward. However, that often comes with a lot of negative reaction by people around us, right? What do you mean you're going to be different? I liked you the way you were. I liked how my life was the way you were. Don't change. Stay quiet, stay small, sit down there and let's not rock the boat. So it's not bad enough that I'm having this internal dialogue with that limiting voice saying, no, don't do that. You might embarrass yourself. You might lose some money. You might lose some face. I don't know. But then there's the people around us and in the stage of our lives, that could be multi-generational, right? I'm dealing with my grandchildren going, wait a minute. You're not going to be here to throw my birthday party? My own children, adult children now going, what the hell, Mom? You're embarrassing me. Stop that. To my personal relationships. And I just came from a family reunion where the eldest member was 87 years old. So I still have other people and they're looking at me too saying like, what are you doing? You've written a book. You've got a podcast. We didn't do that. Shh.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right that a lot of times we can be very excited about changes we're working on and it's making other people uncomfortable because of what they make it mean. And one of the things they make it mean is that, well, if you're doing that, maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't want to be doing anything wrong because I'm really happy with what I'm doing, which can also be true. But this has come up several times on this podcast that we're ramping up as others are gearing down. And that creates some discomfort for sure. I mean, even women our age having podcasts, it's certainly nothing I ever expected I'd be doing ever in a million years. I was such a late adopter to even having a smartphone, let alone even understanding that there was a podcast app on my phone naturally. Very surprising to me. Well, one thing you mentioned in your notes is for sure there are fewer people in your demographic, but you are reaching out and building a global network. And I love that because if you can't get that community close to home, wherever home is and however you define home and community, you can certainly reach out. So what's it like to build a global network?
Well, this is the absolute joy of today with technology, even though it's our nemesis at times, as we have experienced. But it affords us this opportunity to make connections all around the globe. And whether that's by listening to your podcast or whether it's by joining a chat group or any kind of collaborative sisterhood group where you're sharing things. For instance, because of the internet, I am leaving to go to Bali in September with a Rotary group. That I've never met them in person, but now because we have been, internet pen pals and I have been participating in Rotary meetings on Zoom at 6:00 in the morning, my time, 6:00 in the evening, their time. I now have the opportunity to go be involved in the service projects that the club is doing and further deepen the friendship that is created with people on the other side of the world. So I love that today, as much as it was intimidating at different times, and well, let's just say because of the pandemic, we all learned a lot faster with technology for reasons. I would not have my own podcast if it wasn't for the pandemic because I had originally different plans of having a live radio show. Couldn't happen in person, right? And I don't like to say, if life gives you lemons, but it's okay. Pivot, experiment, be curious, give it a try. And the hardest thing for me sometimes is just getting over my own ego and not wanting to look like a complete ass.
Well, as a beginner, we're not used to being beginners at this point. We've got lots of experience.
This is what I mean by I've never been this me before.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. Okay, now you mentioned something that I wanted to ask you a little bit about. You said you love what you do, but you're choosier about where you invest your energy now. And energy is a very common thread of what's going on with women over 50 who are talking to me on this podcast, because as an entrepreneur, it requires a lot of energy.
It certainly does. And as women, by training, by experience, that nurturing gene in us, going too far to being people pleasing is the issue. So I'm now learning to be much more discerning about who I will give my time and energy to. I want to help everybody. It's just instinctive for me to do so. But I've become better now at going, okay, I have, and you're not making the next move to help yourself. So that's all I can do. I am consciously looking for the type of people I need to surround myself to help me continue to grow and up level in my capabilities and my vision for an impactful life. And I say I don't like to fire everybody or make them walk the plank, but there are people that I will allocate.
You're old enough. You need to walk the plank. I want old mentors. I want role models of women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's so funny. Walk the plank that you just said that is hilarious.
Well, be careful when you're out there whale watching in case. Yeah, that there is a graceful way, but a firm way to move some people out of sucking up your energy and draining your bucket so that you have more room, which, ENCORE means more. And so that's what I'm all about, choosing where I will be able to increase what I do by being wise about having less of someone or something.
That is so important. It happens at a bigger level in your business, perhaps. You can't go to everything you're invited to speak at. You can't be a part of every group where you're invited. But it also has to do with figuring out the kind of energy you want with the people you love. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to make time, bandwidth, space for those kinds of priorities? How are you figuring that out?
Well, it's easier for me now that I am single and my family has grown. They're adults, but I made the mistakes, trust me, early on, where the business became the favorite child or the favorite friend and companion. And I wasn't making as much time as I should have for some relationships and giving too much to those that they had an agenda and they just wanted stuff from me. So I've become better. I'm not perfect, and I don't believe I ever will be, just because of my nature where I want to help people. So that my focus these days is being really clear about my own identity, how I want to have influence, and how I will increase my impact. So if I aren't careful about managing my time and energy, I won't be able to do those things.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say your next step is? I know that you're interested in starting a foundation. Do you see that as the next thing you'll be doing, or what's up for you?
My immediate focus is working with more women entrepreneurs who are in the shoes that I formerly wore, reaching that burnout, frustration part with the business, recognizing that they seem to have lost control of the reasons they started the business in the first place. And while I do that, just building my own community of like-minded women and men, entrepreneurs, corporate people that have influence, because my ultimate dream is to have the Lift As You Climb Foundation, which is my personal mantra. It's the story of my life. I wouldn't be where I am today had it not been for the fact for many times I was given a hand up and had the opportunity to learn from people that were more advanced than I was. Yeah. So what I would like to do is to ultimately have a foundation where I can have community homes around the world for young women like myself who are in a circumstance where they need support. They need mentors and teachers and coaches, and that they can then become the alum and spread that and increase the coverage.
I love that. So, Isabel, how can people best get in touch with you?
Recently, I recorded a very cool interview talking about just exactly what we're talking about. What is it? What happens when you reach a point with a business that you're so vested in or so tied into and you really don't love it anymore? And that you feel like you're getting the short end of the stick in terms of rewards and time and enjoyment. And I talked a lot about my system and how I have applied that not only to my own life's journey and successes, but to that of many of my clients. And it's in this interview. It talks about how the ENCORE system works. And thank you, technology, because today people don't have to sign up for an email. They don't have to go to a landing page. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is text the word ENCORE to 33777. It's that simple. Text the word ENCORE to 3377 and you're going to get this video, which explains the ENCORE system and how to say yes to your life.
So 33777?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a website as well that you wanted to share?
I do. It's the ENCORE Catalyst, the THE, ENCORECatalyst.com. I have a podcast also, the Lift As You Climb podcast. And I'm just delighted to reach out and talk to people and share what I've learned and see if I can help them, especially
amazing
entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know women entrepreneurs, what we go through. It's a lot. And it's so important to have support and mentors and to connect in community with other women entrepreneurs. So important. Amazing, Isabel. Thank you so much for taking all of this time and sharing all of this. I really appreciate your perspective and wide variety of experiences that you continue to bring forward to inform what you're doing and to help women at such a deep level. I really love what you're doing. You're amazing. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, because I love your podcasts as well. Your first one and the second one, and how that provides this opportunity for people to consume knowledge, know they're not alone, give them some models to work forward and try, and to reach out to coaches and mentors and big sisters like you. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. All right. That is it for now. If you are listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would like to also come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We would love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with the show, I'd love to invite you to a happiness breakthrough coaching session. It's my laser-focused coaching call that will help you get clear about what's getting in your way as a woman in the middle entrepreneur and confident about your next steps to more happiness in your next chapter. Head over to www.nextchapterbreakthrough.com. Talk to you soon.